Well, today, renowned forensic expert Michael Baden, a former New York City medical examiner, released his findings as following the second autopsy of Eric Garner. We all know Eric Garner, that the case here of the man who died in a chokehold by an NYPD officer back in July on Staten Island. And Kimberly Wallace, she reports on the ME's findings.
Dr. Michael Baden, former New York City chief medical examiner, agrees with previous autopsy results of Eric Garner. Baden is the pathologist who conducted an independent autopsy of Michael Brown, killed in the Missouri town of Ferguson.
Dr. Persicino, who did the autopsy in Staten Island, did an excellent autopsy. We reviewed all of her findings and all the tissues and photographs, and they do confirm that there's a hemorrhage in the neck indicative of neck compression.
Garner died on July 17th after NYPD officers attempted to arrest him. Video of the officers restraining him in an apparent chokehold, causing him to ultimately lose consciousness, circled the web, causing outrage. Chokeholds are banned under NYPD policy. PBA President Pat Lynch commented on the doctor's findings.
Type of compression and damage to the neck and chest is consistent with life-saving techniques that EMS or emergency room technicians would do in a situation like this. It's consistent with that, not consistent with a chokehold.
The doctor said Garner had some health issues that need to also be taken into account.
Patient had an enlarged heart, a very large heart, but good coronary arteries, and did have evidence on the microscope of asthma. So, and he was overweight.
What you look for in a medical examiner's report is scientific terminology. One of the scientific terminology would be asphyxiation. You did not hear that, which once again shows that it was not a chokehold.
The PBA say they are awaiting a full, fair investigation of the facts. In New York City, I'm Kimberly Wallace reporting for Richard French Live.
All right, now Dominic, you've talked to many members of the Garner family. Also some of the folks that have been helping them with this. You've spoken also to Pat Lynch. In fact, you got the first interview with him after this incident as well. This has moved back in the headlines for a lot of reasons. Also what happened in Missouri, I should say, and then this again. Where's the next steps that go along with this, and what's the significance of, you know, one of the more noted medical examiners around confirming, in effect, what the original forensic report said?
What Dr. Biden did today, it really means nothing at the end of the day, because he's a hired gun. That's the bottom line. He's a hired gun by the lawyers that were standing there with him. Even though he's a world-renowned medical examiner, the smoking gun, if one exists, is from the only autopsy that was done, which was, because the doctor here only looked at the records. The city's medical examiner, okay, this all amounts to a civil lawsuit. Who's going to get the money? And what the
So you don't think there'll be criminal charges?
They may, but just one aspect of this right now. The city's medical examiner released the most damning report that could possibly be found against the officers and against the city. That's going to result in at least what the city's medical examiner found, at least a $10 million settlement to the family. Now, criminally, we don't know what happens. Pat Lynch is doing a good job raising doubt. You know, his job is to throw it on anything else but the police officers. And some will say he's not credible, some will say he's very credible.
You know some of the principals behind the scenes that are working with the Garner family. I guess my question is, and you also know some of the pressures that both this mayor, given how he campaigned, and also how he elevated Sharpton, sitting on the same stage as he and Bratton, and we all know how that played out politically, because that's, let's face it, a big part of this here. How does that play out from Gracie Mansion on down to Police Plaza? How do they go from here?
It could be a huge headache for this mayor, who's moving more and more into a law and order mayor, even though he wasn't elected that way. He was elected raising the issue of police brutality, sitting there, obviously, that's the shot that went around the world with Sharpton on one side, right, and Bratton on the other. If you're the mayor of New York City, politically speaking, you just want to cut a check and have the family disappear. Right. But that's not what's going to happen. You just want to settle this, have the controller stamp it, take your millions, and please be gone.
Last thing for you, Tom, then I want to get the man also in that. Al Sharpton here, how much is he going to be willing to give this new mayor, who he's going to have to work with over the next few years, not a pass on this one, But if he says the right things, is he willing to say that the city conducted itself fine and then leave it at that?
If there are no criminal indictments from the district attorney in Staten Island, all bets are off, and it could be the beginning of the end.
But he's handling this
of the
differently
relationship.
if it was Rudy sitting in there than if it was Bill
if
de
it
Blasio.
was Rudy, there would already be days of outrage in front of One Police Plaza with every black elected official being arrested with civil disobedience. If it was Rudy, it would be night and day. But if you're the mayor, you just want to, and this is why the family's saying the mayor's doing a good job, cutting through all the red tape. If you're the mayor, you just want to cut the check and be gone. That's what you want.
Great.
I mean, I do. I think Al Sharpton will take every opportunity to torture Bill de Blasio or whoever's in City Hall. I mean, that's what Al Sharpton does.
Yeah.
And I mean, Al Sharpton's changed a little bit because he's got to show that he doesn't want to lose, and he's got regular income coming in that he doesn't want to lose. So I think he's been a little bit better. I mean, I think Bill de Blasio is realizing that it's not everything is black and white in law enforcement. I think it's maybe a triple entendre. But that tragedies.
But we are seeing with
tragedies do
broken
happen.
windows, with profiling, that there are changes, not just cosmetic, but real in terms of police procedures and policies. In a lot of ways, those broader programs, they're on trial right now.
They are. I mean, everybody's got their constituencies to serve in all of this. Sharpton will rattle the cage of the mayor, particularly if he feels like the people that he serves, the members of the black community, aren't happy with it. If there's a sense that justice isn't being done, if there's not an indictment that's handed up. De Blasio is trying to balance all the constituents in the city too, which include the business and
the police department.
And the police department and the voters who
Imagine you're the
didn't vote
DA in
for him.
Staten Island right now. Oof. Talk about navigating two different constituencies. You're one of the 5 DAs of
they've
New York
got a good
City,
work-
most
they've
people-
and then
Most people in Staten Island think the PD handled it just fine.
That's my point. That's
the,
why
that's
he's
the
between
last,
a rock
the
and a
last
hard
poll
place.
number. So we'll see what Donovan does.
All right. And keep it down over there, Mike. When we come back, we're getting some politics over here. Probably get Mike in some trouble here. No, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie says he's getting tired of the whole Bridgegate probe, and this after the feds have yet to find any smoking gun linking him to those lane closures on the GWB. What does this mean for Christie, who certainly has aspirations beyond Trent?